Welcome back to our channel, my wonderful friends. Today is a bright and beautiful day, and we are so absolutely thrilled to have you here with us once again. We always love sitting down to share these stories, diving deep into the drama, the love, and the heartbreak that keeps us coming back to Port Charles day after day. I have been thinking so much lately about a certain character who has been missing from our screens, and I just have to pour my heart out about him today. You know, when you watch a television show for as many years as we have, certain characters just become a comforting part of your daily life. They feel like old neighbors, even if they are the kind of neighbors who are constantly getting into some kind of spectacular, dramatic trouble. Brad Cooper is exactly that kind of character for me. He has not been around since the very beginning of the hospital's history, but my goodness, he has been in town long enough to make a massive, undeniable impact on all of us. I feel like he has woven himself into the very fabric of Port Charles. He is not a legacy character with a huge, wealthy family backing him up, but he earned his place on our screens and in our hearts through sheer personality. I honestly feel a little ache in my heart when he isn't around, because the town just feels a little less colorful and a lot less fun without his daily antics. Lately, I have been reading so many comments from fellow fans online, and let me tell you, I am certainly not alone in this feeling. The public outcry for Brad to get his own major storyline in the coming weeks and months is growing louder every single day. People are taking to the internet, practically begging the writers to bring him back into the spotlight where he so rightfully belongs. One fan brought up a wonderful point that really struck a chord with me, mentioning that while it is nice to see new faces like Hudson Parker running around town trying to uncover secrets about Delilah Wilson's baby, we really just want our familiar favorites back. I find myself agreeing completely. We have invested years into Brad's journey, and it feels a bit unfair to leave him sitting on the sidelines while new folks take over the town's mysteries. Speaking of familiar favorites, I simply cannot talk about Brad without talking about his iconic, beautiful friendship with our beloved Britt Westbourne. Oh, how I absolutely adore those two together. They're like the modern-day Lucy and Ethel of Port Charles, always cooking up some kind of wild scheme. Whenever Brad and Britt share a scene, you can just feel the genuine chemistry and the deep, unconditional love between them. They are two messy, complicated people who somehow found a safe harbor in each other's company. They drink together, they gossip, they scheme, but most importantly, they support each other when the rest of the world turns its back on them. I miss their laughter so much. I miss seeing them sitting together, rolling their eyes at the town's endless drama, while secretly being right in the middle of it. And Lord knows, Britt desperately needs her best friend right now, because the danger she is currently facing is absolutely terrifying. I have been watching Anna Devayne's storyline with my heart completely in my throat. Seeing Anna suffer through these horrific psychological hallucinations of Peter August is just agonizing to witness. But what really chills me to the bone is that Anna is slowly piecing together a very real, very dangerous plot to eliminate Britt. Just the thought of someone targeting Britt makes me so incredibly anxious. She has been through so much trauma already, and now there is this dark, deadly cloud hanging over her. I find myself practically yelling at the television, wishing someone would step in and realize the terrible danger she is in before it is too late. This is exactly where Brad Cooper needs to step in, and the very idea of it gives me happy goosebumps. Imagine if Brad is the one who uncovers the truth about the threat against Britt. He is not a traditional hero, he does not have a police badge, and he is certainly not a trained enforcer. But Brad is smart, he is sneaky, and he knows how to navigate the shadows of this town better than almost anyone. What if the story we are all waiting for is Brad using his unique set of skills to save Britt from this new, horrifying trouble? It would be such a poetic and deeply emotional storyline. Brad has made so many mistakes in his life, but having him be the one to rescue his best friend would be the ultimate redemption arc. I can just see the tears in their eyes as they realize how much they mean to each other. But saving Britt is not the only incredible direction Brad's story could take right now. We absolutely have to talk about his formidable aunt, Selina Wu. Oh my goodness, Selina is a force of nature, is she not? Every time she glides onto the screen, looking so elegant and yet so incredibly dangerous, I am just mesmerized by her presence. The Wu family brings such a rich, fascinating dynamic to the criminal underworld of Port Charles, and Brad's connection to Selina is a goldmine of storytelling potential just waiting to be tapped. Selina has always wanted Brad to embrace his family legacy and step up in her organization. Up until now, Brad has tried to keep his distance, wanting to live a somewhat normal life. The timing for Brad to join his aunt could not possibly be more perfect, especially with what is happening with Sonny Corinthos right now. As we have been seeing, Sonny and Jason Morgan are currently trying to navigate a way out of the mob life. They want to leave the criminal underworld behind to protect their loved ones from any more violence. Sonny is busy participating in the auction for Jen Sidwell's assets, trying to secure his family's future, but his ultimate goal is to step down from his throne. Well, as we all know, nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the Port Charles mob. If Sonny steps away, all of his old territory is going to be completely up for grabs. I have seen so many fans hoping that Selina Wu is the one to swoop in and take over Sonny's empire, and I think it is a brilliant idea. She has the brains, the vast resources, and the cold ruthlessness to do it. If Selina makes a play for Sonny's territory, I desperately want Brad to be pulled into that storyline. Imagine the intense internal conflict Brad would face. On one hand, he is this somewhat normal guy who just wants to hang out with Britt. On the other hand, the lure of immense power, family loyalty, and the protection Selina can offer might be far too much for him to resist. Seeing Brad try to navigate the high-stakes, deadly world of mob bosses would be so incredibly compelling to watch. However, there is another fan theory floating around that I absolutely adore with all my heart, and it involves our dear, sweet Nina Reeves. Some viewers have suggested that Brad should go to work for Nina at Crimson Magazine. Oh, honey, just picture it. Brad stepping into a role as Nina's fierce, loyal, and incredibly dramatic assistant. The high-fashion, high-stress world of Crimson is the absolute perfect setting for Brad's brand of snarky humor and sharp observations. He would be completely in his element, organizing glamorous photo shoots, gossiping by the espresso machine, and fiercely protecting Nina's office from anyone who dares to upset her. And let us be completely honest with ourselves. Nina needs a loyal friend like Brad in her corner right now more than ever before. My heart just breaks for Nina these days. She is in such a vulnerable, fragile place, refusing to abandon her daughter Willow, even though it is putting her in massive danger. Willow has moved back into the Quartermaine estate, and she is clashing so terribly with Michael and his strict, controlling rules. Willow is acting out, becoming increasingly reckless, and Nina is just blindly devoted to saving her. Even Jack Brennan, who is trying so desperately to protect Nina from the fallout of Willow's bad choices, cannot get Nina to step away. Nina is drowning in family drama, and having Brad at Crimson would give her a much-needed safe space. Furthermore, putting Brad at Crimson alongside Nina sets up the most delicious, entertaining conflict with Michael Corinthos. We all know Brad and Michael have a deeply complicated and painful history that goes back years. Brad working for Nina would allow him to go toe-to-toe with Michael on a regular basis. With Michael being so incredibly rigid and pushing Willow away right now, I would absolutely love to see Brad march right up to Michael and give him a piece of his mind. Brad is never afraid to throw a little shade, and seeing him passionately defend Nina and verbally spar with Michael would be incredibly satisfying television. What truly makes Brad such a spectacular character, and why we are all clamoring for his return, is his beautiful, messy humanity. I read a comment from a viewer who said that Brad is great because he is so messy and you can always count on him to make the absolute worst decision possible in any given situation, very much like Nina does. It is so incredibly true. I find myself screaming at the television because I know he is about to do something foolish out of sheer panic or desperation. He is not a malicious villain. He is just a deeply flawed human being who often lets his fears guide his choices. We can all relate to that vulnerability on some level. But the absolute best part of that observation is that Brad is not crazy or completely out of touch with reality. He has a certain baseline of normalcy that makes his character so wonderfully acceptable and grounded. No matter how deep into the mud he gets, no matter how many lies he tells to cover his tracks, there is always this core of a regular guy just trying to survive in a town full of international spies, dangerous mobsters, and feuding billionaires. He grounds the show in a way very few characters can. His reactions to the extreme drama around him are usually exactly how we would react if we lived in Port Charles. In the end, whether Brad is rescuing Britt from a deadly plot, helping Aunt Selina take over the criminal underworld, or running the fabulous halls of Crimson with Nina, the point is that he simply belongs on our screens. The canvas of General Hospital is vast and full of incredible talent, but there is a Brad-sized hole in the narrative right now that desperately needs to be filled. We, as devoted and loving fans, have invested our time, our tears, and our joyous laughter into his journey over the years. I will be keeping my fingers crossed and my eyes glued to the screen, hoping and praying that the writers here are heartfelt pleas and give Brad Cooper the epic, front and center storyline he so richly deserves.